As a community of friends of Jesus as believers, and I know I can rely on each and every one of you to walk with me.
When the royal family made a discreet visit to the Vatican, few imagined the moment would echo through history. But behind those sacred walls, something extraordinary unfolded. Pope Leo the Fourteenth silently handed Princess Charlotte a centuries-old Bible. No blessing, no explanation, just a quiet gesture, heavy with meaning. What happened next sent shockwaves through both Buckingham Palace and the Vatican. A child's innocent curiosity unlocked ancient secrets, hidden codes, and a royal mystery buried for generations. This wasn't a simple gift, it was a divine challenge. And Charlotte's response? It will leave you speechless. Charlotte's secret mission, whispers of wonder, began even before their plane touched Rome. Friends thought Prince William and Princess Catherine were making a quiet pilgrimage, lighting a few candles, nothing more. The palace referred to it as a private visit. Reporters remained in London. Yet, on a soft spring morning, the Wales family stepped through the apostolic palace gates and into a story no adult could predict. Vatican aides guided William, Catherine, and their children. George in a tidy blazer, Louis gripping his mother's hand, and Charlotte with eyes bright as sunrise, past marble saints and carpets the color of rubies. A heavy door trimmed with gold opened onto a chamber reserved for moments of deep trust. Sunlight bounced across walls painted with angels carrying sealed letters. Waiting beside a single white chair stood Pope Leo the Fourteenth, famous for his gentle footsteps and scarce words. The Pope greeted the grown-ups with polite nods and hushed Latin blessings. Cameras were banned, though 2 Swiss guards filmed for the archives. Then he turned to Charlotte. Instead of raising his ring for a kiss, he knelt until their faces were level. The room fell still, curiosity stealing every breath. From his robe, he drew a palm-sized ivory box tied with a red ribbon and set it in her hands. He murmured, "Parvulis datum, es videre mysterium." To little ones the mystery is shown. Charlotte curled her fingers around the box like a child saving a shoreline shell. She thanked him softly. The meeting continued, talks of charity and education, but Charlotte kept studying her gift, almost as if it pulsed. That night, the family lodged at the old British ambassador's villa just beyond St. Peter's Dome. After supper, while George built Lego towers and Louis slept, Charlotte slipped from her room barefoot. Moonlight poured across marble floors. No guard noticed her small silhouette gliding toward a side door leading into the Vatican gardens, closed to visitors after dusk. Security tapes, later viewed in secret, show Charlotte walking with purpose, as though following a melody heard only by her. Past orange trees and fountains, she moved until she reached a bronze angel, half hidden by ivy. She opened the ivory box. Inside lay a small Bible, pages edged in gold, its leather cover marked by an unknown sign, part windrose, part crown. She flipped to a ribboned page. No verse appeared, only a single line in red ink. "Begin where silence was born." Charlotte whispered the words, although the cameras captured no sound. Her lips shaped each syllable. The angel's wings shivered, releasing a rolled parchment sealed with 3 coats, the papal keys, the royal lion, and a third mark historians still debate. Charlotte caught the scroll before it touched the ground. Guards hurried over. She simply smiled and said it was waiting. The parchment was taken to the Vatican's hidden archive. Its map traced winding paths connecting Rome, London, and a land wiped from modern atlases. Hours later, Pope Leo the Fourteenth told an aide, "The child has started the path." At dawn, William noticed dirt on Charlotte's feet and a sparkle in her eyes. She murmured, "The book showed me." Catherine squeezed his hand, sensing their daughter had stepped into legend. Back in London, aides puzzled over how every garden lock stayed intact. Guards confirmed no alarm had rung. Why Charlotte? What power called her beyond bedtime stories into a riddle older than her crown? Even the Queen, hearing the tale at Windsor, whispered, "It chooses its own." Now, the Pope's mysterious gift to Charlotte, a Bible that changed everything. What power lies inside? And why does the map point to her alone? Stay tuned. The mystery begins. The Pope's mysterious gift to Charlotte. Back at Windsor Castle, the halls echoed with an odd silence. Not the usual respectful hush of royal tradition, but something heavier. Ever since the return from Rome, Princess Charlotte had become unusually quiet. Not withdrawn, not frightened, just focused. She carried the Pope's Bible with her everywhere, clutched like a diary only she could read. At first, the palace chalked it up to childhood wonder. A holy gift from the Pope would dazzle any child, but the staff soon noticed something strange. Charlotte wasn't just reading the Bible, she was studying it, turning to specific pages repeatedly, tracing symbols in the margins, whispering phrases under her breath that didn't sound entirely English or Latin. 2 nights after their return, Charlotte asked to visit the royal archives, a place most senior royals barely set foot in, let alone a child. Archivist Sir Malcolm Danvers, in his 50 years of service, had never received a request like it. "May I see the pages from the Vatican visit in 1762? She asked calmly, the Bible clutched under one arm. He blinked. "I beg your pardon, Your Royal Highness." The records show when King George III met the envoy from Rome. "It's written in here," she said, holding up the Bible. "The book told me." At first, Sir Malcolm assumed it was innocent mimicry. Children absorb adult phrases like sponges, but when he pulled the requested document, one long forgotten in the archive's lower chambers, his hands trembled. The parchment Charlotte pointed to had a stain in the margin, a faded smear shaped like a crescent. Nothing noteworthy, until Charlotte placed her Bible beside it. The crescent lined up perfectly with a curved engraving on the Bible's back cover. As the two made contact, the spine of the Bible gave a quiet click, unlocking a hidden panel no one had noticed. Inside was a folded letter, signed not by Pope Leo the 14th, but by Pope Clement the 13th, dated 1762. The letter warned of a child born in a line of kings who would one day carry the light of discernment and awaken a dormant path between 2 thrones. The spiritual and the sovereign. A line that read, "She shall carry no crown, yet move those who do." Suddenly, what had been a sentimental gift became something else entirely. A prophecy, a Vatican safeguard, or a clever deception designed to manipulate the modern royals. Word reached King Charles by the next morning, and while the monarch made no official comment, those close to him noticed something shift. Charlotte was no longer treated like just the spare granddaughter. She was being watched, but not for mischief, for signs. Whispers in the corridors of both Rome and London hinted at something even more disturbing, that the Bible had once been stored in the Vatican's restricted vaults. No one could explain how or why Pope Leo the 14th had chosen to remove it, let alone hand it to Charlotte. But Charlotte wasn't done. At breakfast one morning, she looked up from her cereal and asked her mother, "What's buried beneath St. George's Chapel that no one talks about?" No one had mentioned the chapel. No adult had said a word. And yet, she knew something. So if the Bible revealed one secret, what else could it be hiding? Why did Pope Leo the 14th choose Charlotte? And could she be the key to an ancient plan? Stay tuned to find out. Bloodlines and benedictions. The royal child the Pope chose. It wasn't the first time a pope had met a British royal, but it was the first time one had broken Vatican protocol to hand an ancient relic to a child. The Vatican, known for secrecy, offered no public statement, no press release, not even a quiet clarification. Yet those behind palace walls knew something very few outside would dare to whisper. Charlotte was chosen, not because of who she is now, but because of where she comes from. Inside the folds of the parchment found in Windsor's archive, royal historians discovered a second passage, one that hadn't been translated in centuries. It referenced the 3rd daughter of the 20th king after the split of crowns. At first, it sounded like biblical poetry, but a deeper dive into royal genealogies painted a more specific picture. Charlotte, 3rd child, granddaughter to King Charles III, who is, by historical counting, royal scholars went searching. In Charlotte's lineage on her mother Catherine's side lies a trace of House Stuart through Lady Diana Spencer, descendants who once held Catholic sympathies in Protestant England. That makes Charlotte the product of a bloodline quietly tied to both the Reformation and the Counter-Reformation. In short, Protestant crown, Catholic roots, a bridge, a key. Pope Leo the Fourteenth, known for his obsession with mending fractured faiths, may have seen something in Charlotte no one else had, the final thread in a long, tangled tapestry. A child with pure intentions, free from political ambition, yet tied by blood to centuries of turmoil between the throne and the church. And still, the question remains, why now? Sources within the Vatican suggest that Pope Leo has long believed that the next great religious awakening would not come through clergy, but through innocence, children, those unshaped by power. Charlotte fit that profile too perfectly. The Pope's advisors were reportedly split. Some argued against placing such a heavy responsibility on a child, but Leo insisted, she is not alone. The book will guide her. But what if it wasn't just a book? Experts examining the Bible noticed something strange beneath its gold leaf edges. Tiny imprints of stars, not just decoration, actual constellations. And when mapped, they aligned to the night sky on one specific date, November 20th, 1947. The wedding date of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. Why would a Vatican Bible, written in the 1700s, point to a 20th century British royal wedding? Unless it wasn't just about Charlotte. Unless it was about something that's been quietly weaving through the royal bloodline for generations, waiting for someone young enough and pure enough to trigger its message. Charlotte may not yet wear a crown, but make no mistake, she has already stepped into a legacy that predates modern monarchy. And just when the palace began adjusting to the quiet weight of this mystery, Charlotte made another move that left even her parents frozen. She locked herself in the old royal chapel one night with nothing but the Bible, a map from the Vatican scroll, and a lit candle. What she wrote inside that chapel has not been made public, but insiders say it changed how King Charles viewed the entire situation. Now, for the first time, even the Church of England wants answers, because what followed didn't just uncover hidden texts and forgotten scrolls, it stirred something ancient, something the royal family never saw coming. So, what could it be? Stay tuned. Charlotte's shocking reaction after receiving a Bible from the Pope. For days after their return from Rome, Princess Charlotte remained calm, curious, and unusually composed. But that calm cracked one Sunday afternoon inside the Chapel Royal at St. James's Palace. What unfolded behind those ancient oak doors stunned everyone, from palace aides to the Archbishop of Canterbury himself. It began with a simple request. Charlotte asked if she could attend a private prayer session alone. At first, the answer was no. Children, especially royals, don't get unsupervised chapel time. But she was persistent. "I won't disturb anything," she whispered to her nanny. "The book needs silence." Eventually, Catherine relented. A discreet guard was posted near the chapel door, and Charlotte was allowed inside with the Bible tucked beneath her arm. She walked in barefoot, a detail that unsettled one attendant who whispered, she looked like she wasn't just going to pray. She was entering something older than worship. For over 40 minutes, nothing happened. Then came the sound. Not voices, not footsteps, but a low hum, deep and steady, as if the stone walls themselves had begun to vibrate. The guard rushed in, expecting mischief. What he found instead was Charlotte on her knees at the altar, the Bible open before her, and tears rolling down her cheeks. The candle flames, witnesses swear, flickered in unison toward her. She looked up and whispered something no one can forget. "He's not just watching. He's waiting." The royal chaplain was called in immediately. Charlotte, pale but composed, handed him a folded note she had written during her time alone. The note, since sealed by the palace, allegedly contained 4 Latin phrases none of her tutors had ever taught her, all pulled directly from obscure Vatican texts stored in Rome's secret archive. She should not have known them, but she did. That same evening, Archbishop Welby was called to Windsor. A royal emergency meeting was convened, not for scandal or succession, but for spiritual inquiry. Who told her? Who taught her? How did she know these things? And most of all, what had the Pope started? William, who'd kept silent through most of the mystery, finally spoke. "This is not just about faith," he said. "It's about inheritance, the kind no coronation can pass down." That same night, Charlotte asked a single question that sent shivers down the spines of those present. Why was I chosen instead of George? It wasn't jealousy. It wasn't a tantrum. It was something far colder. Realization. She knew she'd been placed in the center of something that bypassed birthright and cut straight to destiny. The Bible, when examined again that week, had changed. A new symbol had appeared beneath the cover flap, a circle of stars around a single flame. The Vatican confirmed the symbol once belonged to a defunct order of protectors, believed to have been disbanded in 1815, tasked with guarding prophecies too dangerous for public knowledge. Now, the symbol had resurfaced, and it had chosen her. Charlotte's quiet chapel breakdown wasn't a loss of control. It was an awakening, and from that moment on, royal protocol began shifting. New security was assigned to her. Conversations once reserved for the king began involving her name. And the Bible? It was no longer just a gift. It was an artifact under lock, studied daily by both palace historians and a silent Vatican envoy who had arrived without announcement. So, what happens when a young girl too young to rule becomes the guardian of something older than the crown itself? Because this isn't just about what Charlotte read. It's about what she did with it. Stay close. The answer. No one expected. Charlotte's sacred response. From the instant the tiny Bible touched her palms in Rome, Princess Charlotte refused to treat it like a royal keepsake. She handled it the way some children hold sleeping birds, carefully, silently, sensing life inside the pages. The gold edging and secret code meant little next to the fact that Pope Leo the 14th had chosen her, a school-aged girl, not a bishop, to carry it home. Charlotte did not see Leo as just the worldwide leader of Catholics. In her young eyes, he was the first adult, beyond her parents, who looked straight through the palace walls and noticed her hopes. Witnesses recall that when the gray-haired Pope bent his knee and pressed the ivory-bound book into her hands, a hush settled over her face. No shock, no shyness, only the calm stillness artists paint onto future monarchs. Back at Windsor Castle, headlines argued over dusty prophecies and hidden scrolls. Charlotte ignored the noise. She studied the gift itself, trying to read the reason behind the Pope's quiet smile. Each night, she wrapped the Bible in soft linen like a newborn, set it on her bedside table, and asked her nanny to keep a candle burning, so it will not feel alone. Staff were told to wash up before coming close. Now and then, a guard heard a soft "thank you" float from her room as she turned the fragile pages. Soon, the thank yous became answers. Charlotte started writing letters, short, neat lines in pencil, at first like bedtime prayers, then like formal notes. It dawned on the attendants that she was writing to Pope Leo, reporting what she was finding between the lines. "Your Holiness," one note allegedly said, "I saw friendly words hidden in the spine." No public reply ever arrived, yet twice, Swiss guards were spotted sliding slim parcels into diplomatic pouches, tagged only L.C. Windsor. The princess also spent her pocket money on a brown notebook and copied passages by hand. She chose stories of young people God called early: Samuel hearing a voice in the night, David facing the giant, and Mary receiving an angel. A royal historian remarked, "Charlotte reads that Bible as if it were addressed to her alone, mailed across centuries. Her thanks to the Pope flowed beyond words."
I begin with a word in English, and the rest is in Italian, but I want to repeat the words.
During an art lesson at Kensington Palace, Charlotte painted Leo the 14th from memory. The picture was hardly perfect. The nose leaned left, the robes looked short, but the eyes carried a depth that startled her teachers, soft yet piercing, like someone who knows secrets and protects them. When asked why she chose the Pope as her subject, Charlotte answered, "He began the story. He trusts me to finish it. The royal household has increased its watch over the princess, not out of fear but curiosity. Scholars, pastors, and even intelligence officers are studying every scrap of news. What power lives inside that child-sized Bible? And why does it orbit around a girl who is still losing baby teeth? Even seasoned courtiers quietly confess in private that history seems to breathe again. Because Charlotte is not only guarding a gift, she is guarding the man who gave it. In her mind, the two are woven together, page and person, ink and intent. And in that union, observers whisper, might lie the first true bridge between Britain's throne and Rome's altar since the days of Henry VIII. Whether Charlotte will cross that bridge or simply mark its stones for those who follow, nobody can yet say. But each night the candle at her bedside burns low, and the little Bible waits, its gold edges catching the flame like dawn on distant water, eager for the next small hand to turn a page. But is this only the beginning of Princess Charlotte's hidden destiny? Or has something much older finally been set in motion? Let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.